Back in 2016, while campaigning in Michigan, then candidate Donald Trump called on black voters across the country to try something new by voting against the Democratic Party.
Look how much African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose?
President Trump went on to attack the Democratic establishment by blaming it for the treatment of African Americans across the United States. However, the line, "What do you have to lose?" has echoed throughout the Trump presidency during times of extreme uncertainty. Now, Change.org has published a new petition, an open letter to the president, which has been signed by more than 1,000 black women across the country. The letter calls out the president for what they say is perpetuating inaccurate information about the administration's success within the black community while answering the question he posed 4 years ago: what do you have to lose? Dr. Maya Rockeymoore Cummings joins me now. She is the former Democratic Party chair of Maryland and the widow of the late Congressman Elijah Cummings. Thank you so much for being with us, Maya.
Thanks for having me on, Elaine.
So you are one of thousands of black women who have supported this open letter to President Trump. What made you decide to support this petition?
Because the Trump administration over these past few years has been a travesty. They have been incompetent and they have been malfeasant in terms of how they've handled and managed not only the economy, but our government. We have basically lost a lot under Donald J. Trump. And he has repeatedly maligned and attacked African American leaders and the African American community, while encouraging those far right-wing white nationalists who have ill intent and bad feelings towards our communities, encouraging their negative behavior. And so with that, we feel that we are endangered under a Trump administration. We feel that this president is a racist and that he is singularly responsible for perpetuating the circumstances that we find ourselves in, particularly with the coronavirus and the economy, and certainly with the level of racism that we have in our country today.
So now that this petition has been signed, what do you see as the next steps?
So the next steps are, of course, to push for policy change. And we have no indication that the Trump White House even has an ear to the ground in the African American community, has any doors open for anybody except the props that they continually bring in whenever the cameras are actually on, to actually think that we have any inroads with that administration. But we are certainly looking to work with the Biden campaign to push our policy agenda, to uplift certainly the issues that we think that are important for our communities and our families, and to continue to fight back against the awful rhetoric coming out of the White House and out of President Donald Trump. We feel that if he's left unchecked, he will try to ravage not only President Biden, or excuse me, Freudian slip, Democratic nominee Biden, but also his vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, whom we view as singularly qualified to be on the vice presidential, nominee, and certainly to be on the ticket. And so we want to continue to speak out, and we will counter anything that Donald Trump offers with regards to negativity when it comes to this ticket and when it comes to the vice presidential nominee.
Well, in 2016, then candidate Trump posed that question, what do you have to lose, to black voters across the country? What, in your view, is problematic with the premise of that question?
The fact of the matter is what's problematic is that we have a lot to lose, and we've learned this all under President Donald J. Trump. When it comes to our health, we have been imperiled because the Trump administration has, long before the coronavirus, they sought to gut the Affordable Care Act. Right now, before the Supreme Court, they have an effort to actually, basically derail the entire act. Now that the coronavirus has come about, we are dramatically, losing our lives because of COVID-19, and we have suffered because this president has failed to take the coronavirus seriously. He has, slow walked the response. His administration has deliberately not developed a national plan to address this. They have ignored the disproportionate rates in communities of color. They have most recently last week, they were seeking to deny children in schools access to free masks. I mean, this is just a small sample of the things that this Trump administration has done to basically put our lives in danger. And so I view the Trump administration's response to COVID-19 as being genocidal, because certainly it has exhibited no care for the communities that are most affected, or for any Americans for that matter. On the economic front, more than 16% of African Americans are unemployed right now due to the fact that the Trump administration has mishandled the coronavirus epidemic. And so, we are economically vulnerable as well. And that means that our poverty rates are skyrocketing. And so there's a lot to lose. If we're talking about our children in these schools, I mean, the Trump administration and Donald Trump has tried to force schools to reopen normally, which would put our children in harm's way. But, certainly, the fact that he has slow walked the response to the COVID-19 epidemic means that our children are going to be farther behind too, because we're disproportionately without the computers and the other virtual tools we need in order for our kids to get a quality education virtually. So, with that, we have a whole lot to lose, including our lives, and Donald Trump needs to go.
Maya, I wonder what your response is to the Attorney General of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, who spoke, as you know, at the Republican National Convention and said of Joe Biden this, quote, "Mr. Vice President, look at me. I am black. My mind is my own, and you can't tell me how to vote because of the color of my skin." What's your response to the Attorney General?
Certainly, this is a free country, and this is a democracy. Nobody has to vote Democrat if they're black. You can certainly choose to vote any way that you want to vote. It doesn't have to be even Republican. There are other parties out there. But that being said, it should be important that any voter out there look at the track record of the people who are in office to determine whether or not that person and their administration has your best interests at heart. And we see a very long track record of persistent lies, of attacks against Black and brown people and communities, of verbal attacks that have been just crazy. Of course, my late husband, Elijah Cummings, was the subject of President Trump's attacks. The city of Baltimore has been a continuous subject of his attacks. And this is the president. This is somebody who's supposed to be coming with solutions. He has done nothing on health care except try to snatch away what little we have. He has done nothing on infrastructure. He wants to talk about urban areas being blighted. Well, how come you have done nothing in almost 4 years to address that? I mean, he is basically a menace to society, and he is threatening our democracy in the process, and he needs to go.
All right, Maya Rockeymoore Cummings. Maya, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your perspective with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Take care.